Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Astrological Intentions. I am your host, Alex Reevy, along with the QuickBook questionnaire herself, Sandy Reevy.
It's all about QuickBooks this time of year.
And it is episode 289, February 5th. Let's get right into it. In the transits, we have today Mercury conjunct Pluto.
Now to the research.
February 7th, Wednesday, Venus trine Uranus.
A gift of freedom.
And Mars sextile Neptune.
Walk on water.
February 8th, Thursday, Sun square Uranus.
Stay true to thyself.
February 9th, Friday, new moon at 20 degrees of Aquarius.
Feel the need to discover it.
Then February 10th, Saturday, the Lunar New Year, and Mercury squared Jupiter.
Good intentions, but ...
Then in Talisman times, we have a new finished talisman we want to discuss. And on the horizon, we have our daytime retreat in Michigan, our I Can Do It show in Phoenix, Arizona, as well as our retreats for 2024. Then in our house, Sandy and I are so excited to announce the Egypt retreat in October, so listen in and hear more. Stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your scars. It's you. Say you are the one you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute, jump in the river, wash yourself clean so you can deliver you.
Hello, QuickBook questioner.
Yeah, I bet everybody's doing it right about now. Reconciling and
oh, it's so much fun.
and calling in going, huh? Scooby-Doo? Huh?
Right. Yeah. Well, that's unfortunately your name this week, but I want to go direct to all of our listeners saying thank you so much for your feedback. We did get one response back from our podcast last week when we asked everyone to describe the project that you're currently working on. And our response was, I'm listening to the podcast right now. What project am I looking to move forward? All of them. Ha 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 ha. So, and a Gemini, of course, working their way through many different projects all at once. So that was a cute one.
Yeah.
So let's move into the transits where we have a pretty decent week. So we start off with Friday the 5th today, if you're listening on time, Mercury conjunct Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius.
Okay, so there's that 0 degrees of Aquarius. I'm like Carol Burnett.
Tugging your ear.
Tugging my ear. It's a 0 Aquarius. Pay attention because this is the hot spot this year and going forward. But it's now to the research because Mercury, the planet of communication, the planet of thinking, learning, intellect, mental activity, has met up with the probe. So it's probe away. How can this situation work? What are those projects you're working on? How do you have to spend some time doing some evaluations? This is first of many conjunctions over the next 20 years. So we're going to get 20 of them. And so this is,
that's a lot, 20.
Yeah, well, and we've been getting 20, but it's still in that Aquarius where Mercury is said to, it's not a traditional statement that Mercury is exalted in the sign of Aquarius, but some of the modern astrologers believe that it is. Mm-hmm. Whether you believe this or not, I can see where it does affect this, high technology, high frequency of keeping your mind up here in the air, right?
Right.
So, yeah, it's all about coming up with these new transit. It's really interesting. Something that just came across my feed about a week ago, right after Pluto went into 0 degrees of Aquarius. It was the first time that the FDA approved Elon Musk's brain chip was converted into a human being with success. Now, it was success up to that moment, to that time. It was reported the next day, was inserted on a Sunday, and it was reported on Monday. So it's been, I don't think it's been a week yet. So I'm curious. I should be doing that research right now to see what is,
Right.
how is that person doing. I don't know who or what it is, but they've done all the testing on monkeys that has worked. Yeah.
Right. I saw a little clipping of like a monkey playing a game with their mind, and I also saw a woman who was a paraplegic, and I don't think she lost her ability to speak as well, but she was able to speak a little bit to her husband, which I thought was so cool. So this could be really transformational. I know it gets a little bit weird because this is like biotech and it's working with people's brains, so it gets a little like not sure if it's ethical or there's a lot of like gray area there, but it really could make a big difference for people who can't do
It's
specific things.
it's the way of our next generation.
Right. Aquarius is loving it.
Pluto and Aquarius will be changing technology for the next 20 years. And, I'm excited to be at a particular age to be witness of it.
Mhm. Right. And also coming from such a traditional space in the 50s too, there was like you get to see a huge wide range of like what the world can do in that period of time.
No wonder
So
the Jetsons were one of my favorite cartoons.
right. And it's so true what's going on these days. So, all right, let's move on to Wednesday, February 7th. We have two transits. The first, Venus trine Uranus.
A gift of freedom. It's truly a gift. Venus is coming from the Capricorn Earth sign, viewing in a really nice harmonious aspect Uranus, which is sitting in her home in Taurus. So this is with reception. And she's just like easily looking over at Uranus and is approaching a situation with love and respect, yet free enough to make something work. It's about an exciting relationship. It's about lifting up the electricity where things can become stall and stagnant. Do you understand stall and stagnant? Okay.
Dull and stagnant.
I make up stuff like that. So it needs to have a little bit of woohoo kind of energy. And so I really like this period. I'm going to be making some talismans on this time.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
So the second transit is Mars sextile Neptune.
Walk on water, question mark. It's this very strong Mars in Capricorn making a sextile to Neptune in Pisces. So there isn't reception here, but there's a sextile that says, hey, I can't, Neptune's the modern ruler of Pisces. So Mars is exalted in this Capricorn. So it's like, I can, stay on top. I can stay on top of my dreams. I can stay on top of my inspiration, my intuitive actions. So I can kind of walk on water. It's not a place of drowning. It's not a place of getting like blah, 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 blah. I don't know where I'm going. So it's kind of paddleboarding or,
right.
Keeping
the speed, keeping the
knowing where you're headed on an inspirational level. So I like this staying above the ground.
Right. February 8th is the next transit on Thursday, Sun square Uranus.
So this is the Sun squares Uranus twice a year. And this is the applying square. And so this is about, applying, approaching that, being true to yourself, kind of looking forward at it versus a separating square that we'll get in 6 months where it's like, oh, was I true to myself back there? Instead, it's like, hey, I will stay true to myself as I approach this Uranus. So it's this, you don't need to care, you don't need to paint and craft and carry protest signs. You just simply be you is always enough. Always enough to be you. And this is just a really good day to stand up and say, I am Sandy Reevy. There is no other Sandy Reevy here on this planet.
Mm-hmm. And so this kind of reminds me, there's this like kind of like mini show. It's on all the socials, I think. And it's just called Keeping It 100. And what I thought is really cool is that they'll have like one general question, and then they bring on like, I want to say 20 to 30 people and their faces. So you're just looking at these people and they ask them a question like, what gives you the most anxiety right now? And they just, one after the other, they give you all of these answers, and they're so widespread. They kind of clump together sometimes, like mortality or someone I love dying, or some people even said like some really weird things like turtles and spiders and stuff. But it was really cool because when you see all of these answers, there's just such variety. And also, there, with keeping it 100 means like be 100% yourself and be authentic in your answer. There are no wrong answers for that, right?
Right.
And so it's really cool because I think a lot of times we tend to limit ourselves, or like kind of give an answer that we think is maybe appropriate for the time, the audience, or whatever it is. But I really like this, is stay true to yourself by keeping it 100. This is my answer. You asked me the question. You need to realize that there is a whole lot of answers that could be happening.
Yeah, and when you're asked a question, the person's asking a question because they don't know.
Right.
The answer. So you can only provide that.
Right. Totally. So next transit is February 9th, Friday, new moon at 20 degrees of Aquarius.
So this is a new moon. We're at the start of the initiatory movement. This is at 4:59 p.m. Chicago time, Central. And we've got that sun and moon making that square to Uranus that just happened the day before. But the moon's there now. And so this is kind of like a surprise kind of energy. There's do we maintain, do we continue on the same ways that we've been doing things over the time? It's kind of like, no, like switch it up. What I like about this too is that Saturn's the ruler of this new moon, because what rules Aquarius? Saturn is in conjunct, which means it's adverse. It's not making any connections to the sun or the moon. So there's no hangups, there's no delays here, there's no like limitations. So it's kind of like feel the need to discover it. It's like, what does that mean for you? And of course, it's the moon, so we feel it. It's the sun that we have the personality that we're staying true to ourselves the day before. Now we need, and do we need to discover what our answer is? Maybe if we're reflecting what you just said, it's like feel the need to discover something new. What is it for the now? Yeah.
Yes. And whether that's your unique perspective, bring it. I like it. So February 10th, Saturday, happy Lunar New Year, everybody. Like this is a great kind of redo for the Gregorian calendar New Year. So if we have not really started on our goals, maybe here is the next jump start. And it's for the dragon. So happy Lunar New Year to all my dragons out there. I'm a dragon as well.
And it's my mom's 92nd birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this is Mercury making a square to Jupiter. And Mercury and Jupiter can get along, although it's a square, so this can be some stress. I call this good intentions, but make no strong promises. You need some room to breathe. Mercury likes the details, likes the little tiny pieces of the big. It's like, if the mechanic of your car took things apart and put it on a bench, and said, well, here's your car, you'd be like, no, can you put it all back together so I can recognize what the hell all these pieces are? It's kind of like that, right? Where it's taking the small to make the big and taking the big apart to see what it needs repair. So they're good intentions because it's like, hey, let's get to the bottom of something. But it's a square, so it's a little tense. So you may not want to make a solid, complete promise here because you might need some like a little bit of it, kind of a width. A little
Right.
bit.
It's so easy to say, like, absolutely, let's do that. But the actual implementation, execution, action, that can always prove to be a little bit more difficult.
It might be that you don't have all the answers, right?
Right. Right.
Or you don't have all the details yet.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like there's more information one needs to gather. So
Right.
there you go.
Okay. Well, that is the week for us all. Let's move into Talisman times, where you finished up one that was Friday, February 2nd, to follow through on sibling agreements. So this one, I carry through with my promise to my siblings. My word is gold and solid. We have agreed. So kind of similar to that Mercury square Jupiter, like, good intentions, but you gotta follow through.
Right. And this is the moon is enclosed between the two benefics. And I always look for this in the chart, and we not always able to get it, but there are a few times in the year that the moon is in a position that brings one, in this case, the moon is bringing the opposition from Jupiter in Taurus and shedding the light, shedding the Jupiterian light over to Venus. And so I really like this, and it's coming from the third house, in the house of siblings.
Mm-hmm. Well, there we go. Promises, promises, promises. We got to follow through with those. So the talisman of the month for February, we announced last week during the podcast, but here it is again: to engage and agree with authority figures. I see you on an equal playing field. We admit we are each human and have concerns around this subject. We have the same opinion and work toward it in unison. We are linked up. So those authority figures that you're supporting, that you're showing up as a huge generator or engine for them, really awesome.
Yeah.
So let's see. Let's move on to the horizon, where we are announcing again our daytime retreat. This is on U.S. soil, in Union Pier, Michigan, not too far away from Chicago. And this is all about intention and inspired action on the full moon. Jen Weigel, also Wendy Rudnick, you, the astrologer, kind of come together as a trifecta to help healing, help teaching, help educating, and setting intentions for that time frame.
Yeah, we'll be looking at the full moon there, in the end of we'll be in a full moon. It's the day of the full moon, on Saturday the 24th, and so it's a really great time to have this alchemical process of speaking to the spirit. It's like, what can we, hearing from spirit, finding our flaws in the visions in order to correct them. So things that maybe we believed is maybe not true.
Mm-hmm. And I really like this too, because it's in person. I think that like more and more ever since COVID, and we're now all on Zoom, like all the time, on our computers, we're still like connecting with people. But I think there is something to be said about this like in person experience, because you can dive so deep, and there's so many things that you can get from being among others
Mm-hmm.
that you can't get when you're just in your space just on your computer.
Well, and two, the fact that it's kind of a local-ish, that you possibly could find a new friend.
Right.
Because
Right.
it's drivable, whether the person came from your neck of the woods or from another part of Michigan. This covers Michigan, Indiana, and
Ohio.
in Ohio and Illinois. So it's a really good. Is that a quad state?
I don't know. I am not
Quad
sure.
state versus a tri-state.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's continue on. March 23rd through the 25th, we are so excited and happy to announce that we are going to the Hay House I Can Do It show. That is going to be in Phoenix, Arizona. This is, again, in person. I think we get so excited about these in-person events because it is contagious. And I don't mean sickness. I mean like this inspiration, this energy, this these powerful people that come in, and there's story after story, there's connection after connection, and just the excitement behind everyone's eyes it's contagious.
Yeah.
So we'd love for you to
It's
join
our
us.
favorite show. It's one of our favorite shows that we're so happy they're back. We went to that one in Tampa back last year, and we found and attracted some new people to us that have gone to some of the retreats.
Right.
And it's just a really good place to find new friendships.
And find community. Yep.
Mm.
So shall we discuss a little bit of the retreat schedule? Because I know we're going to be talking about the Egypt schedule in our house. Don't forget, we have September 22nd through the 29th. We have the Greece retreat, which is on Amargos Island. It is 5-star. 5-star luxury, like, oh my goodness, the views, the food, the service, your balcony. Everyone gets a balcony that looks over the Aegean Sea. It's just like, wow, it's incredible. If you have not gone to Greece, I highly recommend it. And I only think we have like one spot left.
One spot left.
I mean, there could be an option where some of the other retreats that go there, because it's a big retreat center, but it seems really small and intimate. If some of them don't sell their rooms, then maybe we can take some, but yeah, just one left. So if you are interested, definitely get in touch and inquire about if might be a good fit for you, right? So let's move on to October 9th through the 19th. This is the Egypt retreat. Registration is here. So we've been talking about it, saying registration coming soon, confirmation of everything coming soon. It is here. We are announcing it here on the podcast first. And yeah, check out the retreat page because it is, I don't know. I've always been like a big fan of like Egyptian hieroglyphics and the temples and, just the desert. I just think it's beautiful. So, yeah, check those out.
You did such a great job on the one page that's on the website for the pictures and the descriptions. And we have a day-to-day itinerary already listed on there because we are working with my friend Zephi, the high priestess. And it's she and I taking our peoples to the land of the Egyptian gods and goddesses, and we have two guides will be taking us through that are Egyptian and can get us in special places.
Right. So, I mean, welcome into our house. We're going to talk a little bit more about this Egypt retreat because we're just so excited about it. You and Zephi have been kind of toying this idea for a little while now, and it's happening. It's here. It's real. The itinerary is set. The pricing structure is set. The adventures that everyone's going to be going on are going to be absolutely unforgettable.
This is a retreat that we were like, should we call it a retreat? Should we call it a mystical tour? Should we call it a journey? Should we call it a pilgrimage? What's the title of it? Because it's not a typical retreat that I've always held, because I'm not bringing our screen. I'm
The
not
projector.
our projector.
You're not even going to be doing like astrology charts for everyone, which is normally how it goes, or talismans, but this is going to be a much more adventure focused retreat.
There will be storylines. I will give some handouts because I will want to be looking at the fixed stars that are related to that, Greek mythology and the Egyptian mythology. So I will be comparing those as we're learning about, Ra and Isis and Osiris and both. And we'll be doing some card pulling. So there's a beautiful oracle cards that are the Thoth cards that she uses this in her practice. So we'll be pulling cards. She'll be giving us channeling. Really, I've been working. Zeffie and I are really good friends. Although we started out as she would always invite me as one of the key speakers for her Women Arising events in Sedona. And now she needed to go back to Greece, which is her homeland. And some of you met her who went to Greece last year.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why some of the ladies are going to Egypt, is because they've met Zeffie.
Right. Right.
She is fun, inspiring, and informative.
Absolutely.
The fun part.
Right. And so with that, I mean, I think that this Egyptian retreat is going to be really spectacular, because you're not only going to be in Cairo, you're going to be in Luxor, you're going to be in, oh my gosh, Aswan. And then sailing up the Nile once you fly, and like pretty much everything, and like really everything is included in this price. So you get the flight from Cairo to Aswan, you get the boat, you get all of these incredible adventures. And I'm not sure, can I share some of those adventures?
Yes.
So not only like going to see temples, going to see the pyramids of Giza, going to all of these, like the Temple of Horus, the
Dondara,
right,
Abydos, the Great Pyramid, the King's Chambers. We're going to Seth and Osiris's on the Crocodile Temple, Priestess Island, Phila Temple, Edfu, Esna, Dandara.
But what is also included is a hot air balloon ride over the desert and one night of camping in the desert with an entire crew. So you don't need to set up your own tent. You don't need to do anything like that. But what an experience.
Those were the two things that he said, I can take these off and the cost can be, more affordable. And I'm like, don't you
dare.
Don't leave them on if we're going all that way. And we, if we choose to do this once, which is my plan, this is for me is not a annual tour.
Right. It won't be.
Because I want to go other places in the world. But this one, and I have all the connections. I want to bring my people. I want to bring my people to go with me that know us and trust us, and that we always have, nice location. We have safe, rooms, and because we're going to be moving. We're going to be moving a lot.
Right. It is.
So we're going to be challenged to pack little.
Right.
We do have people carrying our bags for us, but still, we don't need 2 and 3 large bags.
Nope.
And just being opened enough and leaving your arms wide, your mind wide, your head tilted back into the abyss of the universe of what they looked at, 2,500 years ago to 3,000 years ago. So seriously, this is a don't miss. So right now, Zeffy's bringing 6 people. I'm bringing 6 people. We are looking for 12, and I've already got some people already signed up. So
right.
Get with me. And of course, because things are moving, there's 3 price points for this retreat. I've never done 3 price points, but it was the only way I could make it work. So by getting in now, getting your $1,000 deposit in now before March 1st is the deal. That's your best deal. Then it will go up 20% ish by May 1st. Then we'll have another price break up to May 1st, and then another price break after that. So if there's a consideration, you
don't delay.
Don't delay, because it's the way this contract or this agreement is worked, and they're all different. And I have to allow for all this different ways that people do business, as I set things up in other parts of the world, is that when I get a sign up, I immediately turn the money over to him, and he goes ahead and buys the best room in all of these hotels, and starts then recognizing what size Duhaba boat we need. I think that's how I say it. It's Dahab.
It's like a houseboat with like ginormous sails, and it really looks like something that just came off the Nile.
Yeah. And we'll be spending the night there. I think it's 3 nights. It will be traveling during the day, going to different temples along the Nile, but spending, eating lunch on the boat, eating dinner on the boat. And that's where we'll be having a lot of story time as we're just slowly moving through up the Nile.
Yeah. Yeah. So exciting. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I mean, I remember back in, I don't know, 5th grade, I did my presentation, and you had to like say a speech, and I did a presentation about Egyptian mythology because I had like such an interest in it. And I just remember I remember like just delving into it and being like, this is so cool. And like they would mummify and they would do this, and they had all of these like very intelligent and so ancient ways. And so yeah, I think it would be an absolute once in a lifetime experience. So if you are interested in joining for a retreat and you do have a few questions, or you have a concern about something, you can always receive a free 15-minute reading to ask Sandy your questions and just figure out the feel and whether or not this retreat is right for you. So click that link in the description. Yep.
And we are selling single rooms, and we are selling shared rooms. However, those that get in on the earlier side, the boat, there are single rooms in this boat that we will be on. But depending if we have 12 single rooms wanting to be,
reserved.
Okay. There isn't that many single rooms on the boat. So
okay,
those people, and I've got a list.
Secure your single room early so that you have a single room throughout the entire trip.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Thank you for that.
Sounds great. Well, thank you everybody for listening in to this week's episode. It was wonderful to be here with you again, and we will see you all next week. Don't forget to give us those 5-star reviews. Email us, alex@intentionbeads.com, if you have any questions or any feedback. Thank you again, everybody, and see you all next week.
Bye now.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your scars. It's you. Say you are the one you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute, jump in the river. Wash yourself clean so you can deliver you. The story of you, the story of